Alright, guys. It is Tuesday, October 4th, 2022 at 8:48 p.m. Alright, guys, let's take a look quickly here at dailyverses.net, verse of the day. It says, "The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him." Psalm 37:23. Alright, guys, let's start with South Korea and the U.S. fire 4 surface-to-surface missiles in rare response to North Korea's launch. As you know, I had made a video yesterday about a couple of videos actually about North Korea launching a missile over Japan. So this is the response that South Korea and the U.S. had. It says the United States and South Korea have answered Tuesday's ultra-provocative North Korean launch of an intermediate range ballistic missile which flew over Japan, triggering nationwide emergency alerts, warning Japanese citizens to take shelter. Yonhap News is reporting that the allied militaries of South Korea and the U.S. have now launched 4 surface-to-surface missiles into the EC in a clear and rare response to the provocation from Pyongyang during the overnight hours local time. There are simultaneous, though unconfirmed, reports that one of the South Korean missiles may have failed and crashed soon after the launch. Okay, it says here, breaking South Korean military says one of its surface-to-surface missiles crashed soon after launch, News One said. It says rumors have already begun circulating for hours prior to the Seoul revealing the new missile launches in response amid ongoing joint military drills with the U.S. of a large explosion or fire at South Gyeongju Air Base. Could it be directly related or coincidence? There is still very little confirmed at this point. They're showing posts of reports of explosions at Gyeongju Air Base in South Korea. Seems to be an accident, according to a military official. Says the explosions have occurred within Gyeongju Air Base in South Korea. The scope and scale of the damage here is unknown, but numerous fixed-wing aircraft are stationed here. Hours after North Korea launched an intermediate-range ballistic missile that soared over Japan for the first time since 2017, Japanese and U.S. military warplanes carried out a joint exercise in response to Pyongyang's recklessness, according to the South China Morning Post, citing Japanese officials. As the security environment sounding Japan grows increasingly severe, including North Korea's launch of a ballistic missile that flew over Japan, the Self-Defense Forces and U.S. military conducted a joint exercise, the Joint Staff said in a statement. 8 Japanese and 4 U.S. fighter jets conducted war drills in airspace west of Kyushu, the southernmost point of Japan's main islands. There were no further details in the statement about what defensive maneuvers the fighter jets were exercising. Joint staffs continued. Forces confirmed their readiness and demonstrated domestically and abroad the strong determination of Japan and the United States to deal with any situation. Earlier in the day, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida held immediate discussions with the head of U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, Admiral John Aquilino, about the missile launch. Ahead of the joint exercise, Kishida told reporters Tokyo and Washington would conduct a joint drill to show they are taking swift action. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said the North missile flew 2,800 miles, hitting an altitude of approximately 603 miles. The missile was launched around 0723 local time on Tuesday from the North Changjiang province, which borders China. As the missile flew over Japan, reaching speeds of Mach 17, the government issued warnings for citizens, urging everyone in the country to seek shelter as the ballistic missile was headed their way. The missile flew 22 minutes and passed northern Japan before plunging into the Pacific Ocean. This is an outrageous act following the recent repeated launches of ballistic missiles, and we strongly denounce it, Kishida said. North Korea has conducted more than 20 missile tests this year, and more than any other year. Kim Jong-un regime seems angry, and they recently rejected denuclearization talks with the U.S. and South Korea. Alright, guys, I had to read the whole article because it is quite interesting that the US and South Korea replied with 4 surface to surface missiles being shot into the East Sea. That is quite spooky. So, heads up, I'll leave the link to the article as well. Alright, next, Europe's winter energy preparations. Too little too late. The EU has managed to fill its gas storage ahead of the deadline above target levels. Financial Times, some European Union members are actually think the measures proposed so far do not go far enough to tackle the crisis. EU countries are walking a fine line between rising inflation and energy bills and rising debt. I'll leave you the link to this article. But Europe's winter energy preparations are very, very short in the sense that they don't have a lot of gas to go around, and the bills are stacking up because of rising debt in their country. So I'll leave you the link to that article. Alright, next. 4 states deploy National Guard to U.S.-Mexico border. Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Kentucky, and Illinois are deploying the several National Guard units to the U.S.-Mexico border. According to the Office of New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu, the 4 states are sending 500 soldiers to help secure the border. The units will act under the command of the 941st Military Police Battalion, which already has 44 soldiers in place. An additional 120 soldiers from the 237th Military Police Company will be deployed to set up surveillance sites along the border to block the laundering of drugs, weapons, and money into the U.S. by Mexican cartels, according to the release. I will leave you guys the link to this article as well, but 4 states are deploying National Guards to the Mexican border. Alright, next. Power grid collapse in Bangladesh leaves 140 million people in the dark. Bangladesh's national power grid collapsed Tuesday afternoon, plunging 140 million people, or nearly everyone in the country, into darkness, AFP has reported. It says update about 140 million people in Bangladesh were without power on Tuesday afternoon after a grid failure caused widespread blackouts, the government power company utility company said. Reuters spoke with the officials of the state that run Bangladesh Power Development Board, who said power transmissions failed in the eastern part of the country and then tripped power plants nationwide, cutting off power to the capital Dhaka and other major metro areas. I'll leave you the link to this article as well so you guys can check out that story. Next, K-Bank warns investors of a trucking winter amid anemic economic conditions. Key banks Todd Fowler and Carney Blake, who are the group's air freight and logistic analysis, wrote on Thursday, note that freight activity has been seasonally weak. There have been limited indication of a typical peak season activity that carriers and shippers expect in the fall as retailers prepare for the holiday season. Fowler and Blake wrote, weak containerized imports underline the possibility that we won't have a full peak season. So for public trucking companies, K-Bank's team is expecting results of the third quarter and estimates for 2023 to be weaker. The team downgraded truck giants J.B. Hunt and Schneider. Spot rates have already declined by 30% compared to last year, Fowler and Blake wrote, and now they're expecting trucking larger contracts market to suffer as well, to the tune of a mid-single-digit percentage declines. So they're looking to a decline in the contracts for trucking. So it's going to be a tougher season for the truckers. So I'll leave you guys that article as well. And let's take a look at strange sounds. It says here, death toll from Hurricanes Ian surpasses 100 in Florida. So 101 from Florida, 4 from North Carolina, and the U.S. total of 105 people who perished because of Hurricane Ian. It says 500,000 people still without power, and thousands under boil water advisories. Alright. Please pray for the people of Florida and the people of South and North Carolina who got hit with that storm. Alright, next. Deadly Mexico earthquake triggers desert tsunami 1,400 miles away and Death Valley cave. I had showed you that story in a personal video I made, and I left you the link for that, but I'll leave you the link for this one so you guys can check out the desert tsunami that happened. Alright, also, asteroid Dimorphos, in which NASA's DART spacecraft slammed into, is now a comet with a tail. So I guess they crashed into it, and now it made it into a comet with a tail. That's quite interesting. Alright. Also, New Island has formed and continues to grow as a home reef underwater volcano erupts in Tonga. So that's happening. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Just wanted to share some of these headlines. Make sure you check out the links if you want to follow up on the stories. And that's it for this video. See you guys next time. God bless.